There's a saying, if your profit margins aren't rising, your company isn't thriving. So here are 5 different and creative strategies with examples you can start implementing to start increasing your profit margins and help your company truly thrive. Welcome guys, thanks for tuning in today. Today we're going to talk about profit. So profit is necessary for the survival of every business. Without profits, you're also most likely suffering from poor cash flow. You're probably unable to invest in new opportunities or strategies, and your business is probably pretty flat. But even if your profits are healthy, sometimes that's still not enough. There's a saying, if your profit margins aren't rising, your company isn't thriving. So profit is the dollar value that you're keeping in your company, but profit margin is the percentage of revenue that dollar represents. It's more meaningful than that dollar value because if you don't know what revenue that profit is generated from, then it's kind of meaningless. Let's say that you made $100 in profit. Well, if that $100 was made from $250 in revenue, then that is an amazing profit number. But if you made $100 in profit and your revenue was $5,000, well, then that's not as good. So that profit percentage helps you understand that if the dollar you generated is good or bad or in alignment with how your competitors are also doing. So back to that $100 example, the $100 from a $250 revenue is a 40% margin. You are crushing it. But 100 off of 5,000 is 2%. And you've got a lot of work to do. So margin is also just more meaningful as your company grows because that dollar profit is always going to grow as your revenue grows, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're keeping more of the money, your profits you're bringing in revenue. It could mean you're actually bringing in more money in revenue, but more is actually going out in expenses. However, if that profit margin percentage is also growing, then that definitely means that you are bringing in more revenue and you're also keeping more in profits. So let's talk about 5 different and creative strategies with the examples that you can start implementing into your business to increase that margin percentage, which is what will help your company truly thrive. Number 1, elevate your brand and the increased perceived value of your products and services. So in retail, one of the best products that has the highest margins are cosmetics. Have you been to Sephora lately? We will spend $250 on face powder, maybe a shadow palette, and mascara, and not even think twice about it. According to experts, one reason behind this fact is because beauty and cosmetics brands, they excel at creating these really personal and emotional connection with us as customers. Cosmetics just make us feel better about ourselves, which then leads to really strong customer loyalty. So to find ways to increase the perceived value of your brand, try focusing on the emotional and lifestyle values that your brand can offer. Last night, I was watching some old episodes of Shark Tank, and the brand Fur was aired seeking an investment in their company at a $20 million valuation. Their products definitely demanded a premium, selling a little bottle of oil for $46. But their brand and therefore their products, it wasn't about the oil or even the high quality ingredients they were using in their oils. They were on a mission to make everyone comfortable in their own skin, and people are willing to pay a premium for that feeling. So, can your product or your service make people just feel better about themselves? Can they elevate the lifestyle of your customers? If you can, start thinking about that in your messaging, and you can often charge a premium for your products or your services. Number 2, streamline your operations to reduce your operating costs. A few years ago, to save some time and operating expenses, I worked with a home design interior store to automate the task of transferring all the sales data from their POS system that they were capturing in the day into their accounting system. So rather than every evening manually having to enter in all the sales data from the transactions that happened that day, we integrated the 2 systems from their sales and their accounting so all that information was automatically transferred. And the result? We freed up their team's time so that they could devote more energy to helping customers, to increasing sales, and just doing better work. We also estimated that the automation saved the team about 40 to 60 hours a week in time, or the cost of 1.5 full-time employees. Reducing cost is often just thought about like cutting cost and minimizing your expenses. But don't forget that streamlining operations and increasing efficiencies also can really help reduce your costs. So a great way to streamline your operations is to just automate specific tasks in your business by putting repetitive activities on autopilot. So can you reduce the time and the manpower of operating expenses that are required to run your business? Go through all the tasks that you and your employees are completing on a day-to-day basis and look for any ways that you can streamline those efficiencies or automate them. Are there just really cumbersome, bulky activities that are eating up big chunks of your time? Or do you have to re-enter data in multiple places? If so, then you probably can find a good way to automate it. And once you start to look into those, things just start to pop up. You'll probably find more ways than you think that'll save you time and money and efficiencies. And then number 3, so get creative with pricing and price increases. Footsie Folds, they're a shoe retailer, and at one point they were just super tired of these knockoff products eating away at their market share, so they decided to get really creative with their pricing. But instead of just lowering their prices across the board to compete with these cheaper knockoffs, they actually introduced a higher end category for their products. And with the new pricing format, they ended up lowering that normal day price that used to sell at $25. They lowered the price of that product to $20, but then they also introduced a new category called Luxe that sold for $30 a pair. So the owner, Sarah Kaplan, told the New York Times that this move actually helped them really increase their profits. She says that they actually had the most interest in that higher price shoe. And then after launching, they saw their revenues increase by 100% by actually introducing a higher priced product in the market. Psychology is used in pricing all the time because it works. Small changes or small uses of words can make a massive impact. As the saying goes, the best way to sell a $2,000 watch is to put it right next to a $10,000 watch. So here are some other examples of some creative ways to use pricing with the psychology aspect in mind. In a CMU study, trial rates for a DVD subscription increased by 20% when all they did was change the messaging from a $5 fee to a small $5 fee. And ending a price in 9 has been used forever, and it still works. So there's a study where they compared women's clothing that was priced at $35 versus $39. And even though $39 is obviously higher than $35, it outperformed the $35 price range by an average of 24%. Or when consumers were given options of sale prices, when they would say, was 60, now 45, or was 60, now 49, the 49 sales price actually got bought 5 times more than the 45 sales price. So how can you think about your pricing to make your product more appealing? Number 4, increasing the basket size or the average order value from customers that you've already acquired is also a really great way to improve your profits. You've already invested so much in getting your customers to your store or to your site or to using your service. So now go and find ways to maximize their spend when they're with you. So start with upselling and cross-selling and finding products that are likely to be purchased together and offering them together. So in retail, you do this a lot by getting very intentional about product placement in the store. For example, are you like me? When I go to Target with a very specific list of things I need, I always come home with at least 10 to 15 additional items. Another less traditional way to increase your AOV, that average order value, is to use gamification. The McDonald's Monopoly game is a very well-known example of how this works. By incentivizing customers to collect pieces and win prizes, they frequented their establishment much more often. Or how about gamifying your customer loyalty program and combining those two strategies in one? Starbucks, which is one of the most sought after loyalty programs, they offer these freebies and discounts in the form of earning badges, which gamifies their loyalty program. And that program really pays off for them. The Starbucks Reward Program represents a huge portion of that company's revenue growth, which was $2.65 billion. And they reported that 40% of that came from that loyalty program. And finally, number 5. One last strategy that's related to number 2 in reducing cost, to improve your profit margins, and that is to implement the Downtime acronym to eliminate waste. So this concept is taken from lean manufacturing, but I think it can be applied to almost all businesses. So when you're looking within your business, you want to look for these 8 types of waste in your business and eliminate them using the acronym Downtime. So D, that stands for defects. This relates to quality control and ensuring your product or service never requires rework. So in e-commerce, this can also look like processing that time and energy it takes to process returns because a product was misrepresented and then a customer had to return it because it wasn't accurately described. O, overproduction. This is basically saying that you're making and getting more than you need, whether it's producing more than you need or buying more than you need, or even staffing your team more than need. This is a big area of waste. W means waiting. So is your team fully utilized, or is there a lot of time spent waiting around for work or waiting around for customers? Or is your team spending a lot of time in administrative work versus revenue generating work? N, not utilizing talent. This is basically saying, are the right people doing the right things? Do you have people in your team that are doing tasks that they hate? Or would you be better utilized actually putting them in roles where they are strong? T, transportation. So this looks at the unnecessary movements of products. So unnecessary shipping, having to move things from maybe one warehouse to another warehouse, moving things from one store to another store, from one office location to another office location. Or like we talked about earlier, maybe it's not physical products, but it's the inefficient movement of data from one system to another. I stands for inventory excess. So for retail or for e-commerce businesses, this is pretty simple. It's surplus or dead stock that's just sitting in your back room. But for service businesses, it could be underutilized team members. M is motion waste. So this is unnecessary movement of people instead of like processes or things. In a restaurant, this could look like the inefficient sectioning of your tables for your service staff. For corporate offices, this could look like inefficient seating of teams, or even thinking about inefficient scheduling of your time. And then E is excess processing. So thinking about your process workflows, are there things that you are doing that are taking you 5 steps when they could really be taking you 2? Or are you including some people in some of your processes that don't necessarily need to be included? Go through each of these components individually and see how they apply to your business. If these types of waste are present, just find ways to reduce them or eliminate them. So hopefully in this video, you've got some of your creative juices flowing for you to find ways to immediately improve your profit margins. For more ways to increase the financial performance of your business, don't forget to hit subscribe so you get notified every time there is a video posted weekly. Okay, see you next time.